who will exceed expectations. All right. So we're going to use the win totals provided to us by FoxBet for me to jump off with a take. All right. I believe Oklahoma, who has a FoxBet win total of 8.5 wins, will exceed expectations. Matter of fact, when I saw this, I'm kind of thinking that the good folks at the book at foxbet.com were looking out for your mans, because that's easy money. That's just easy money. 9 wins? All Oklahoma got to do is get to 9 wins? Okay, cool. Show me the 3 losses on the schedule, right? UTEP, nah. Sorry, Texas El Paso. Nebraska, maybe, but probably not, okay? Kent State, take the money, dog. Take the money for this butt kicking. That's what it's going to be. And then you get into Big 12 conference play. Which one of these teams is good enough to beat a good Oklahoma team, right? You might get to Texas, who, at OU Texas, the Red River rivalry, by the way, they're due. I said it already. They're due, okay? Then you're looking at new head coach at Texas Christian, new head coach at Texas Tech, okay? Kansas got close. We'll see. I feel good about Baylor and Oklahoma State holding their own against Oklahoma. Side of Texas, I think you got wins all over that. So I think Oklahoma's going to exceed expectations, and we'll talk about whether or not they can get back to the Big 12 championship here coming in, because that's your first task. You got to win the conference before you can play in the college football playoff, unless you play in the SEC. Span the playoff to 16 teams, you cowards. All right. Next team I think is going to overachieve, right? West Virginia at 5.5. I think West Virginia can get to 6 games. I'm going to start with this. Graham Harrell and JT Daniels are reunited. Now, Neil Brown was cagey about telling me who was going to be your starting quarterback against Pitt. He also went on to say, hey, we felt real good about who we had. We didn't want to go to the portal. We got dudes. And then, well, JT Daniels becomes available. So JT Daniels, coming off of a national championship football team, one he started for in 2020 and did real well, and it was more talented than Stetson Bennett, full stop. Comes available, reunite with Graham Harrell, 5-star quarterback. That's easy. It's easy money. Add Tony Mathis Jr. to the mix. If he's even half as good as Letty Brown, you probably got a good passing attack, because Sam James still out there, okay? Defensively, Jordan Leslie knows what he's doing, okay? West Virginia defensive backs are the kind that end up at Georgia. Now, if you're in Morgantown, you don't feel great about that because you're developing somebody else's players, but you're going to be really good on the defensive line, outstanding on the defensive line. All you got to do is keep a lid on the defense. And West Virginia has demonstrated over the last 2 years that they can be a top 10 and a top 20 defense. So I'm looking at the schedule, right? And I'm looking at their non-con. They got Pitt. I think they're going to win that game. There's no Jordan Addison. Keaton Slovis is in year 1. You got a new offensive coordinator. And Pat Narduzzi is doing podcast with local Ford dealerships. It's not always a good look when you're doing that in the offseason, and he's out here just saying stuff now. First, it was funny. Now it feels kind of desperate, but we'll see. We'll see. You got an opportunity. Show everybody what's really good in the ACC. Then there's Towson. That's a win. Sorry, Towson. I mean, I understand that your man Darius Victor has done the USFL Spotlight show over here, and I love me some Darius Victor, but y'all not going to beat West Virginia. We have a question coming later in the show that is, who is the most likely candidate for Money in the Bag? And it ain't West Virginia. Ain't West Virginia. And then, to finish out their non-conference slate, they got a Virginia Tech who's got year 1 with Brent Pry doing an outstanding job of coordinating defense at Penn State. We'll see, right? I also think that this is a team that's going to absolutely stun some teams that we think are good. Think Baylor, think Oklahoma State, think Oklahoma. They had that game damn near won in Norman last year. Okay? They could do it in Morgantown. I've been to Milan Puskar Stadium. I don't really want to go again because it's hostile. It's hostile. Matter of fact, you know how hostile it is? Okay, this is going back to like 2012, all right? 2012. Samaje Perine still there, I think. Or is it a little bit later? 2013. Alex Ross is still returning kicks. I say all that to say, it's 10 a.m. in the morning, and I walk to the stadium to go set up. I see a woman with aviator shades, crop top WV shirt on, cut off at the sleeves, Daisy Dukes on. It's cold. It's real cold. It's cold. It's cold. It's under 40 degrees. It's 38 degrees, 35 degrees. It's cold. She got a Rolling Rock under one arm, like a 6-pack of Rolling Rock, and she got the champagne bottle in the other, and she is swinging from the champagne bottle, walking across the street through the crosswalk. You don't want it with the Mountaineers, man. You don't want it with them. Like when they decided that they gonna go party, they decided to go party, and they got a team that's gonna be pretty doggone good playing the backyard bowl for the first time in years. I'm fired up for them in this pick game. It's gonna be a lot of fun. All right, last team I think is gonna overachieve. Kansas. Okay, I understand. I understand what you mean. I understand where you're going. I understand. Okay, let me walk this out. FoxBet has them at 2.5. That means you win 3, you get your money. 3 games, you get your money. You get your money. Okay. They won 2 last year. They got damn close to Oklahoma, and they beat Texas in Austin. All right. Games in Lawrence this year. That's one, right? Now they got to go to Norman, but you understand. So, their non-conference, Tennessee Tech. That's a bad FCS team. Like, I believe they were 3-8 last year, okay? Then you got Houston. That's going to be tough. Houston's talented. Houston's good. Coming off 12-win season. They return Clayton Tune. They got one of the better tailbacks that nobody talks about. They're going to be decent. They're going to be decent to good. And then there's Duke. Duke is in year 1 with Mike Elko, who left defensive coordinator at A&M, I guess because he just really wanted to be a head coach. But Duke's a tough place to play, tough place to program build. I think that Lance Leipold wants every bit of Duke. So I'm going to say, I give him a chance to beat Duke. They ought to beat Texas Tech. You go reel off one Big 12 win. One. That's Texas Tech in year 1. That's K-State with a new offensive play caller in Colin Klein and a new quarterback in Adrian Martinez, which means you got to put the shackles on Deuce Vaughn, which is not a simple thing to do. It's just not. But you go get one win among those other 9 teams, and you make your money. I think they're going to exceed expectations. All right, now let's proceed to your favorite segment, but the segment's probably going to get me most yelled at. Teams who will fall short of expectations. All right. I'm going to start and go ahead and get it off my chest. Oklahoma State, looking at 8.5 wins from FoxBet. That means they got to win 9. Okay? I just talked to Herm Edwards not too long ago. They feel pretty good about Emory Jones coming from Florida. They got Paul Tyson Jr., who is grandson of Bear Bryant back there too. And they got what I think is another one of those great group of 5 tailbacks in Xavier Halliday. Okay? I think they're going to be all right. They still got my man Jalen Conyers. Shout out Jalen Conyers out there at Arizona State. And they're going to be pretty good defensively. I think Glenn Thomas offensively knows what they're doing. Donnie Henderson, he's been around the program going back to the 90s when they made the Rose Bowl and been coaching for years. I think they're going to be all right. Despite all the sanctions, despite all the movement, I think they're going to be a tough out for Oklahoma State. Also on their non-conference, right? You have Arkansas Pine Bluff, which I think is a win for them, but, you know, it's wild to me to hear how many PWIs, predominantly white institutions, enjoy having HBCUs come to them because they're not so interested in football, they're interested in the bands. So I think APB is going to win the battle of the bands when they play in Stillwater. They just not going to win the football game. Okay, that's just not how that goes. And then to finish out their non-conference schedule, they have Central Michigan. Jim McElwain, I think, had a little bit of a scare here lately. Hopefully he's all right, but Central Michigan ought to be a team you win. Ought to be a team you beat. For Oklahoma State, it ain't the non-conference schedule that scares me. Again, I go back to, can Spencer Sanders hold on to the football? Because when he holds on to the football, you might get Notre Dame. Now, Notre Dame defense made that man look all elite. You know, he looked like that dude. But he also takes care of the football, running around. He also said that, like, he got hit hardest he's ever been hit in a football game in that Notre Dame game. So they gave as good as they got. Are you going to beat Oklahoma? That's up in the air. I say it's up in the air. Historically, it's not even close. Historically, that's Oklahoma running away. But not here in the last 5 to 10, right? You know, we got the punt it again, Bob Shirts. We got Tyreek Hill going off. And we have last year, certainly, where special teams was absolutely garbage and trash. But we'll talk about that a little bit. Not to take anything away from my man Braylon Presley, because he got an opportunity to run one back, and he did that. And I'm so proud of him because that's T-Town, right? But also in there, can you beat Texas? We'll see. Can you beat Kansas State? We'll see. There's all the Big 12 teams feel like they got Oklahoma State and see them between the eyes because Derek Mason taking over a defense that, frankly, wasn't one he built. And anybody that can tell you, I'm going to tell you about this. Ohio State can tell you, having a defensive coordinator come in and try to fix what he didn't build, probably impossible. Jeff Hafley goes to Boston College. Kerry Combs comes over to Ohio State. Running the same defense, it doesn't go well. Okay? It's going to be about how Derek Mason figures this thing out. Okay, next team on this list, not West Virginia, Kansas State, 6.5 wins. That means they got to win 7. That's a lot to put on my man Deuce Vaughn. Now, Deuce Vaughn is the second coming of Darren Sproles. Okay, as a matter of fact, when I said, what do you say? What do you hear when I say Darren Sproles? He said the blueprint, and I said, oh Lord, because I remember 2003 Oklahoma getting terrorized by that man. Like it's just not a fun. It's not nothing about the 2003 season is fun, especially those last 2 months. I got to work with Reggie and Matt. Nothing about that is fun, guys. Now I got Deuce Vaughn, who's averaging 6.8 yards per touch for his career, which is second only to Kennedy Brooks at Oklahoma. And the dude right there next to him is Vince Young. Deuce was that dude. The only returning first-team All-American in this conference, right? All 5'5" of him. Hold it down for the Short Kings. Absolutely love that. But you're asking a lot, I think, of Kansas State to win 7 games this year because I'm looking at their non-conference. South Dakota, that'll be a win. Mizzou's going to give them a hard time. And Tulane is going to give them a hard time because Tulane gave Oklahoma a hard time. Tulane also gave Cincinnati a hard time. Tulane is built to give people a hard time. They're going to get one of these Power 5 teams in their non-conference schedule, I think. Me thinks, right? And then you have the normal rigmarole of what is a daunting Big 12 schedule if you're Kansas State, right? You might get beat in-state rival. Who knows? Could happen. Okay, it's coming together for them, but I don't think it's coming together to the tune of 7 games in the regular season. Okay. Last team I think might fall short of expectations is Texas Christian. Texas Christian at 6.5 means they got to win 7. Southern Methodist wants every bit of Sonny Dykes this year. Why? You'll remember Sonny Dykes comes from Southern Methodist. He left. I gotta turn this one. I gotta turn this one because I know too many of y'all from Dallas. All right, he left good Dallas, posh Dallas. Okay, veneer of Dallas. Dan Jenkins is Dallas to go to Fort Worth. He left good Dallas to go to Stockyards. He left good Dallas to go coach at a place where the last coach still has a statue, and that coach goes to Texas. Yeah, SMU gonna feel some kind of way. I hope Rhett Lashley leans all the way in on that because I'm so excited for that game. All right, like don't nobody want to beat the Frogs like Southern Methodist want to beat the Frogs. I'm here for this. All right. Also in there, on their non-conference, which I think is kind of interesting, Tarleton State, maybe. I'm not gonna just write them off as a team that can't beat Texas Christian, but the 3-headed monster at wide receivers for real. Okay, in particular, too, I love me some Quentin Johnson, who I learned high jump 7'2" in high school. Good Lord, son. He's 6'4". Every jump ball should be Quentin Johnson's ball. And then Tate Barber, another short king holding it down. Chandler Morris might beat out Max Duggan. We'll see. We also know Sonny Dykes wants to throw the ball around. I also know that Joe Gillespie can absolutely coach some defense. Okay? I know this because I'm a University of Tulsa grad. And that is the man responsible for giving us Zaven Collins. And Baylor, your Jackson player, he's also coming from Tulsa and Joe Gillespie's defense. He wants He wants at least 3 dudes that can stand up at a 4'9" technique and go beat the hell out of running backs and offensive tackles. Okay? He's going to have 2 safeties back there that are absolute hitters. And he's going to have some man-on-man coverage quarters that are sticky. Okay? It's going to be kind of tough. They got Colorado to open the season. Hopefully JT Stroud becomes himself. He's able to take over that job. I really like Carl Durrell. He's in a great spot at Colorado. Robert Barnes is going to be leading his defense. Yes, Oklahoma's Robert Barnes. That man is massive. That man is enormous. Like, I was geeking about it at Pac-12 Media Day, so much so that our lead producer, Tyler Wojak's like, man, you really do think that dude's got big? Because he has. He put on 30 pounds during the 2020 season, y'all. This is a 5-star safety who, if he gets any bigger, they're going to have him putting his hand on the ground and pass rushing. He's still got all of that. I'm saying, you got to get at least all 3 of those for me to feel comfortable about you getting 7 wins in the Big 12 slate, and I just don't see it happening. Thanks for watching this video, and remember, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any other videos on the #1 ranked show YouTube channel.